Some South Dakota counties on the path of the Keystone XL pipeline are worried they may have to pay big money if protests over the controversial pipeline break out. I'm South Dakota Newswatch reporter Bart Fancook. I'm reporting today from Meade County, which will soon become home to a roughly 50-mile stretch of the Keystone XL pipeline. In the latest piece published by Newswatch, we dig into worries by county officials that the Keystone pipeline construction could disproportionately affect rural taxpayers if major protests arise. The 9 mostly rural West River counties along the path of the $8 billion oil pipeline being built next summer would have to charge local taxpayers hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars to pay to control protests before the state would provide any disaster funding. A 1969 South Dakota law requires counties to spend local money in a disaster before the state kicks in funding. County officials are worried that the protests over Keystone XL could mirror the massive 7-month, sometimes violent demonstration against the Dakota access pipeline in North Dakota in 2016 and 17. That protest cost governments $38 million to manage, with one county paying $4 million on its own. Even after the county spending threshold is met, state law only requires the state to reimburse counties for 60% of the remaining disaster costs. A state public safety official stresses that the laws will not prevent the state from responding in a protest disaster, but that they would affect how costs are tabulated and paid once the emergency passes. The emergency manager for Harding County, where the pipeline will enter South Dakota, and which would have to spend $700,000 in local money to meet the spending threshold, says the spending requirement could force some rural counties to go bankrupt if a protest grew big and went on for long. Republican lawmaker Thomas Brunner of Nisland has heard the concerns of counties and says he will support changing the law in the next legislative session to reduce the burden on county governments. For much more on this topic, please go to sdnewswatch.org. Thank you.